What's going on, everybody? So today's video, I want to review and explain power versus force. How I found this book was when Nipsey Hussle passed.
All my life, been grinding all my life.
I looked into perspective on life, his outlook, and how he reached his success, right? So I was searching him up, and then he had a list of books that he read that influenced him. And one of his books was Power versus Force. And another one, bonus, is 3 Magic Words. And a very quick gist is, this one is about how our subconscious mind is basically the universal mind. How we think, how we feel, our subconscious will determine what comes into our life. It's basically law of attraction stuff, and the universe is a reflection of what we're feeling, thinking inside. So this is a great little book. Maybe I'll do a review on another video, but it's something good to pick up as well because it kind of gives you more insight into looking into your subconscious and how to reprogram, and how we can look at the universe as one whole and help us attract more of the things we want in our life. And then power versus force, and how they kind of come into play, because everything's about energy. We are human beings. We're balls of energy, and energy is going to determine how we live our life. This book gives you a really great insight to how to look at things from an energetic perspective. And so, like, that's the main thing that interests me. This is why I really love this book. And anyone who's interested in spirituality, interested in why people do things they do, why things just happen the way they do, enlightenment, stuff like that, spirituality, this is a really, really great book for that. The author would find how the level of energy we're at, and you can actually measure this, and I'll get to that in a minute, how we can measure where we're at energetically, and that determines our consciousness, our human consciousness. As humans, we all operate as different levels of consciousness. Depending on where we're at, we're vibrating in this awareness, and this human consciousness determines how our perception is of life, what's attracted into our lives. The author explains how we can calculate this and see from a perspective of politics, our health, society, all these different things on where they're vibrating at energy and why they function the way they do, why people behave in a certain way. So for example, an animal is very limited, has a very limited consciousness, has a boundary. So a lion will only think in terms of food, survival, and reproduction. Those 3 things, very, very limited, and that's it, and it stops it there. As humans, we have an open border. We have a huge range and expansion of emotions, thoughts, consciousness. So what does this mean? That means that we can live from our lower mind, our lower level of consciousness, our animalistic state, lower mind, or the higher mind, the more spiritual, energetic, higher creative faculties that we have. So we range, and we all are going to fluctuate from these depending on what's going on and how we perceive the world to be. And what the author found is you can measure this, and numbers, to keep it simple, we have from 1 to 1,000. One area to like 100 is going to be guilt, shame, blame, victimhood, anger, these lower level of energies. From this state, when you're like around underneath 400 to 500, you're going to be more of a victimhood mentality, victimhood consciousness. Why? Because we have less energy for us to, we struggle to move forward in life. We struggle to look at things from a higher, better perspective to move on forward in life. When you're in the higher levels, say 5 to 1,000, you become more in tune with the flow and energies of life. You become more powerful because you're more in the flow. Things become more attracted to you effortlessly. There's less expenditure of energy. You have more of energy, and you just kind of let the universe and the world take you, because you're not in a struggle for energy. You're not in a struggle for an open, expansive mind. This is the more expansive consciousness. In the book, he'll explain how these levels of energy comes into play when it comes to politics, our physical health, our perspective in life, business, society. And it's really, really, really interesting how it talks about how politics and the media kind of come into play with society, what level they're vibrating at. For example, the Marine Corps is at a prideful state. So this is more powerful than, say, anger and guilt, the lower levels. Without that constant feeding of energy, it'll revert back down to its lower natures. For example, you have courage or neutrality. Those are more sustainable. That's sustainable self-confidence. That's sustainable source of power. Pride is still in a little bit lower of the forceful sort of energy, for the fact that it's dependent on other things. It cannot sustain itself without constantly being fed more energy, but still not as powerful as like neutrality, as courage, and the higher levels where you see a lot more influence, a lot more potent. These powerful energies can change people, it can change society. Influencers, think of people. The first person that comes to mind right now is Malcolm X. We have Jesus, we have Buddha. These people can, the higher vibration, the higher you go, because people vibrate and can resonate with level of truth, with truth it being a higher level, higher energy. It can move people because we all function off of this one ultimate truth. And the higher you go, the more in tune you can get with this higher truth. This is what they mean by going up the higher chakras, which they explains in the book. This is what they explain by being able to be impactful, influential in people. The people who are more successful in life become more in tune with this energy, because people can resonate with it and understand it on a very emotional, energetic level. So how do we understand this to be energetic? How does he calculate these numbers and energy? So our body is very intelligent. Our body knows all the answers, whether we know it or not up here. So the way he would calculate it was, and he demonstrated in front of a lot of people, like in seminars. So let's say last night I ate eggs before going to bed, but in reality I ate peanut butter sandwiches, right? Just keep it simple. The body knows the truth or not. You know, our energy field can distinguish, our gut feeling can distinguish truth or not, vibration. Our body will know. So if I say I ate eggs last night when I didn't, the body's not going to be as strong, because there's not much energy there, as amount of energy there when it's a lie, when it's false. But if I know I ate peanut butter jelly sandwich last night, I know it's true. Truth is a higher energy. So the body becomes more energetic. The whole system changes. Your body changes. So there's gonna be more energy in your muscles, and that's how he would calculate through your muscles, kinesiology, and he would have a tool to measure the amount of force, exertion, muscle exertion, and that's how you calculate it. That's how you get the numbers. So that's how he was able to get the energy in politics, in our health, our society, in the TV shows. All these things, everything you can think of has energy to it, and you can calculate it and where we're at. So as a society, we're moving up. As the world and earth is moving up, this can explain a lot of different changes that is happening around the world. So the world is increasing vibration, and what's happening is a lot of people, whenever somebody heals, they need to get rid of what's holding them down, these negative energies, these negative food poisoning, for example. You have this negative food, dense food that needs to come out for you to feel better. So you have to purge it out, like many people do. And when they take ayahuasca, they have this purging session right before they have a sense of just taken away, mind blown, and having this state of oneness or bliss, how they explain it. So what's happening to the earth is we're purging and letting things out, letting things go. So power versus force. Again, this is a really, really great book. The higher levels, as I mentioned, is you're going to be more powerful because you have more energy. And the lower levels, you're going to struggle and have to force things to happen for you. It's going to feel like you're always in a constant state of struggle because you're lacking energy. And he goes over how to get more energy. This is what energy work, such as Reiki, and I do various forms of energy work as well, and I see the huge difference. When I mentioned my disability in a few videos before in this channel, and I noticed a huge state, because when I first started having this injury, I didn't do energy work because I didn't know what it was at the time. And I noticed a huge change in my consciousness, my perspective on life. It was such a struggle because I felt I was hopeless. I couldn't do anything. But that's because I was functioning from a lower state of conscious, a lower state of awareness, perception of life. I didn't know what I can do. And then I started doing energy work, Reiki, and then I noticed how even though I had the injury, my life still completely changed. What I can do from that. So a lot of times we have obstacles in our life, in our way, and we may not realize that we can go around it or just look above it to move forward in life. The obstacle can basically vanish without having to actually move it itself, but you just go rise above it through your consciousness, your awareness. So it's a really great book. I think you guys would really love and check it out. I'm gonna do a video on like my top favorite books, and this is definitely gonna be one in it. So this deserved a video by itself because it's that powerful. Just the book, reading the book and watching videos that have a higher level of vibration awareness will bring you up. It'll bring up your awareness by reading it and comprehending the book, you see. And I'll give you a little chart. So these are the levels of energy and vibration. I'm gonna actually put a chart. I'm gonna put a chart up. It's gonna be a lot easier to read. But say level 20 is gonna be shameful. You feel humiliated. You feel miserable. 30, you're gonna feel guilty. You're gonna blame yourself. You're gonna blame other people. You're gonna take responsibility for your actions. 50 is apathy. 75 is grief. 100 is fear. 125 is desire. 150 is anger. So the higher you go, the more powerful you become. But still, again, around underneath 200 and 250, these are going to be the lower levels. It's still powerful the higher you go, but you can get more and more powerful. And the higher you go, the easier things in life will be. It's going to be more effortless. Then we have courage at 200. 250 is neutrality. 310 is willingness. 350 is acceptance. 400 is reason. These are where the higher you go, the less people you're gonna find. Like you don't see many Jesus around, right? Because it's kind of difficult to get higher because you become more powerful, more influential. 500 is love. 450 is joy. 600 is peace. 700 to 1,000 is enlightenment. The higher you go, you'll see people. You can just look on like YouTube, and people who are more influential. These people have risen up, whether they're conscious of it or not. They and this is what it means to be spiritual. You're letting go of things that no longer serve you. You're letting go of things that weigh you down. They're keeping your energy lower. So the higher you go, the things you probably let go of in life, people, careers, thought patterns. And so, like for example, the people who are enlightenment is like Dalai Lama. We have Mother Teresa. These are people that were higher, and their goal and their purpose in life were to help humanity up. The higher you go, the higher you go up the mountain, people tend to help you pull up. You see, but when you're in the bottom and you're in these lower states of energy, you're struggling for energy, so you might be fighting each other. You're trying to take energy from other people. You see, that's how I interpret it. So I hope this video helped you explain a little bit of the book. I think it's really interesting. I think everyone should read this. This is probably one of my top favorite books on enlightenment and spirituality and energy. I'm always looking at things from an energetic perspective and why things are the way they are, and this gives me perspective of they are because of the energy in those circumstances, events, and people and society. And as you see the energetic change, society changes and everything around the world changes. It only takes a very few number of enlightened people in order to change the entire world because they're that much powerful. Just their presence alone of their energetic field can change those around them. Their energetic field around other people, whether it's conscious or it's always going to be a subconscious thing. You step into a grocery store and you have like Jesus walk in there, then the store itself is going to be uplifted. People are going to be changed, and again, they're not going to even know why. It's just energy. It's unconscious. So a lot of us don't have this understanding, or it's hard to tap into these energies that we can't see. For example, we have radio waves out here, right? You can't see them. But if you take a radio and you dial to the right frequency, you can tap into the frequencies that you cannot see. And now you have Elvis playing. You have 90s playing. You have whatever, because you're down to the frequency, but you cannot see these frequencies. The same thing. We're very limited as human beings to see these spiritual energies, the spiritual force out here. But it's very much present, it's very much there. And you know, if you start doing energy work, you'll start to see, start to play with these energies and realize that the spiritual side is impacting us here on a physical level, and we may not be aware of that, but it's definitely real. And if you haven't come into contact with it, you haven't experienced it, it's gonna be hard to see that and really feel it. But it's definitely true. And I think if a lot of people come in contact with the spirituality, it will change their life and bring them up and higher, because they realize they're more than their animalistic nature. They're more than human. They're more than what they think they are. They're more than flesh and blood. We're more spiritual beings. We have a higher mind, a higher energetic realm to play with. You know, we can choose to be in our lower mind, just live like animals and just strive off survival, food, and sex. But we're much more powerful than that. We can reach higher levels of awareness. We can influence people. We can help people, bring people up. We can be very creative, create art. We have a lot of things that are in store for us as humans. We have a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential and powerfulness that we have within us. And the goal is for us to reach these higher levels of awareness and consciousness to live a better life of happiness, better mood, not feeling shame and anger, how a lot of people in society can. But in order for us to do that, we have to just let go of things that weigh us down so we can flow back up. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you guys next time.